Hey everyone, in the last week, the market soared. Nvidia soared, and then they both came down. Nvidia came down from about 140 to about 127. I think now it's going to consolidate. I think if it comes down to 120, we can think about buying it again. If it comes down to 112, that's Goldilocks time. That's time to buy it. I think it's doubtful that it'll go down to 112. I think the great struggle will be at 120, and I think if you can get it in the high teens, 115, 16, 17, 18, anything below 120, I think I'll be doing well to buy more shares because I'm out of the market right now. It's consolidating. It's going to go sideways. It all depends on what happens with the PCE this Friday. And this Friday, we expect it to go up by 0.1% on both the core basis and on the headline number. This is the personal consumption expenditures, the PCE that is. I think the year-on-year number for both the core and for the headline number will be about 2.6%, which is very good. If inflation continues increasing at 0.1% per month, that's only 1.2% inflation for a year, but it's got to hold that for a year to get down there. And even if it does 0.2, well, that's 2.4%. Where you start getting in trouble is if it goes to 0.3. Nvidia at one point was the largest stock at 3.3 trillion, but it's now lost 9% and is below Apple and Microsoft again. And looking at the chart for the last month, you can see how it's come down about 9% in the last week. When you look at the 21-day average, you can see that the battle basically is at 120. I think what's going to happen if we get a good PCE number is it's going to play around with going towards 120. I think if we have a good PCE number, that the inflation number headline and the core numbers only increase by 0.1%. I think it's going to bounce off that and head towards 130 again. I also have the 50-day moving average on there, and that's around 100. I think we go to 100. I would consider that to be a major correction / crash for Nvidia, and I will be out of the stock long before that happens because I think you have to have a trailing stop loss in this perilous market. The relative strength did decrease from around 80 to 64. So it's no longer overbought. So we're going to see how it responds to the PCE. I think it'll play around and do nothing until about Thursday when people start anticipating the PCE. And if we get a good number on the PCE, we'll be back in business. Right now, Broadcom is at about 1658. I think, again, the battle will be at 1600. I think if it goes much below 1600, we're on the way to the 21-day moving average, which is pretty close to 1500. It's just a little bit below that. And if it goes below the 21-day moving average, we're headed for the 50-day moving average, which is a little bit below 1400. Broadcom's relative strength is at 63, which indicates that it's no longer overbought. The stock I currently love is Microsoft, and that's because it's continued its climb upwards in the face of other artificial intelligence stocks having a correction. In the last month, looking at the chart, it's gone up about 6%. It's looking very good for the whole month. I love this when you have steady growth. And 5% in a month is outrageous. It's just looking at Nvidia, you get delusional thinking that can continue for all stocks. But 5% in a month is 60% in a year. So, doing almost 6% is really good. Microsoft's relative strength is 71, so it's not overbought. Google keeps managing to crawl upward. Looking at the chart, you can see it keeps bouncing off its 21-day moving average, which is around 175, and it's well above its 50-day moving average. This is a stock that's thought highly of by Wall Street, and I think it's a good investment, and I'm glad that it's hanging in there. Google has gone up 1.5% of the month, and its relative strength is 63, so it's not overbought at all. Amazon, good old AMZN, has been kind of in the doldrums for a while now, but it suddenly came to life when everything else was going down last week, and it made 3% on the month. It bounced off both its 21-day, 50-day moving average, as you can see from the chart, and its relative strength is 62, which means that it's not overbought. Applied Materials, AMAT, is the stock or the company that makes the machines that make the semiconductor chips, and it tends to move in sympathy with NVIDIA. So you can see on Friday it took a dump. It was like at 248, and it came down to about 235. For the month, though, it is up about 7%. Like NVIDIA, it's been running up, and it's come down with NVIDIA. I think it's going to tend to trade with NVIDIA. Its relative strength is 60, which is good. And Supermicro Computer, SMCI, I've made a lot of money on this stock over the year, but I cannot trade it anymore just because it's all over the map. And looking at the chart, you can see how all over the map it is. It somehow has bounced above its 21-day and 50-day moving averages, but during this month, it's been as low as 765, and it finished as high as 905. So do you want to buy it at 905? I don't think so. I think I want to see it go actually pretty close to the 21-day moving averages, which would be around 850, and then I would only buy it if the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, comes out positively on Friday. After all that running around, SMCI is basically flat at 0.15% for the month. So it went everywhere and got nowhere because it's just going in circles. And of course, the SMCI is not overbought because its price movements drives the average stockholder insane. The big trade of the week is on Friday when the personal consumption expenditures, the PCE, comes out, and it had better come out as either being somewhat inflationary or flat. It's good if it's a little bit deflationary, if it's like a negative 0.1, and maybe negative 0.2 is okay. But if it's like a negative 0.3 or lower, you get a negative 0.5, that means we're starting to fall off a cliff and we're in danger of a recession. That's the way I roll. Thank you.